Have a seat, please, Antoine.
Thank
Well, we're delighted you're here. We'd like to introduce ourselves to you first, and then once we've done that, we'll have a couple of questions for you. I'm Dr. Parent. I work here at Vol State. I'm the administrator of work-based learning, in charge of all co-ops, internships, job shadows, and so forth.
Sergeant James Stinson, Gallatin Police Department, been policing about 19 years.
Sergeant Stacy Priest, currently a sergeant here at Ball State Campus Police Department, formerly with Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Started my career in South Florida in 1992.
Very good. Well, Antoine, we're going to begin with the first question, and here it is. It's very simple. Tell us about yourself.
Well, right now I work at a flower mart in Belmead, which I think that it's really brought me away from being like shy, because I'm actually not. I like to talk to people now, and I like to play sports. I like to be outside, go running and walking and stuff, and I like to be known as a hard worker.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. You witnessed another officer falsifying a report. The officer lost a bag of Vicodin pills during an arrest, but wrote in his report that he threw the drugs away. What would you do?
Well, I'd ask him to make sure that he wrote that right instead of just going to telling him first, and then if he told me that he thought he did write it right, I'd tell him to make sure he read it over it again, and if he knows he did something wrong, to go tell the main officer.
Would you snitch him out?
I mean, if he didn't go tell it for himself, then yeah, I would.
So why would you do that?
I mean, just so I wouldn't get in trouble with him also.
All right.
Okay. So you respond to a domestic dispute involving a woman and her mother-in-law. The woman is demanding that her mother-in-law be arrested because she entered her home without permission. The mother-in-law tells you her son gave her permission to enter the home anytime to help clean or cook. How would you handle this?
Can you reread the question, please?
Sure. So you respond to a domestic dispute and involves a woman and her mother-in-law. The woman is demanding that you arrest the mother-in-law because she entered the home without permission. Mother-in-law tells you that her son gave her permission to enter the home anytime she wants to help clean or cook.
Well, first I'd talk to all of them one-on-one first to see what they all say, and then I guess I'd have to try to call for somebody higher up if they can come and help, because that's kind of a hard situation, because one person's saying that they can't be in there and the other person saying they can, so I don't really, I don't know.
So you would just call another officer to come help you?
Okay, next question would be, tell us about a time you have had to deal with a stressful situation.
It'd probably be whenever I broke my leg about a year ago, because my parents, they work full time, and I was having to hop all around the house to go do stuff myself because they was working and my brother was at school, and that was kind of hard because we have upstairs and downstairs. I had to hop downstairs, go eat and stuff, and then get trash bags, put over my leg to go take a shower, stuff like that.
But you lived, you survived,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, you conduct a traffic stop on a woman and her 2 young children for failing to signal during a lane change. The woman only speaks a little English. She has auto insurance, a valid license, or a valid Tennessee registration, and a Colombian passport, but does not have a Tennessee driver's license. How would you handle the situation?
I'd probably write her a ticket because she doesn't have a driver's license. And did you say her children were drunk?
No, she just has 2 young children.
Oh, yeah, I'd just give her a ticket for not having her license and try to ask her to go get her license before she drives again.
How you gonna make sure she understands what you're saying? Because she don't speak that good English.
Well, first I'd ask her if she understood what I was saying. If not, I'd try to use a translator or something like that.
You just let her drive off after that, after you wrote her ticket?
Nah, I couldn't do that. I guess I try to ask her to call somebody to come pick her up.
Okay.
What qualities and skills are important to have as a police officer?
I think the most thing that you have to have is integrity, because you have to be able to you have to be able to have people trust you, and then also I think you have to be honest also, and you can't like let things get to you easy, because people are gonna try to get to you. Obviously, you can't let like stuff get under your skin like that.
And that's it?
I mean, I guess you have to be like physically fit and stuff like that too.
Okay.
What gets under your skin?
I mean, not really a lot of stuff getting under my skin. I just don't like when people touch me.
If you want to be the police, you better get used to somebody touching you.
Yes, sir.
All right, you've been looking forward to attending a family holiday event and have requested a day off in advance. Your supervisor denies the request and says, "Work comes first, family comes second, unless it's an emergency." How would you handle this situation?
Well, I'd still go to work, because you obviously you need your job. You gotta pay bills, and if you have kids, something like that, you gotta be able to take care of them as well. So I'd have to go to work so I can keep getting paid.
Okay, so you're doing it because it's about you paying bills, but it's not about being a part of a team or performing a task or a duty that needs to be performed.
Well, that too, because you have to be accountable for the people around you, and like you have to be able to show up and help them if they need it.
If you decide to go and work, what kind of an attitude would you have while you're there on the job?
I mean, I'd still have the same attitude as I always do. Except for, I mean, I might be a little bit mad, but I wouldn't show it for people.
Okay, thank you.
Why did you choose to become a police officer?
Because I've always wanted to be a cop since I was like little, and I like helping people, and I like being able for people to think of me as somebody they can call if they ever need anything.
Drive fast, flash your badge.
Nah.
Okay, you're training with an FTO, which is your field training officer, who uses racial slurs and tells sexually explicit jokes while on patrol. Before arriving to a call of an unruly Hispanic male, the officer says, "We have to deal with another one of these illegal, lazy, job-stealing bean eaters again." How do you handle this situation?
I'm gonna tell him that he doesn't need to be talking about that, because that's not the right thing to do. And then also I'm gonna ask him if he'll stop. And then if he continues to keep on doing it, I'm gonna have to tell somebody else that he keeps on doing stuff like that. And hopefully he'll stop before he has to end up telling other people.
Now, this is your field training officer who's doing daily evaluations on you.
Mm-hmm.
He determines whether or not you go on to the next phase of your training.
I mean,
What if he tells you he's not gonna stop and you can't make it? He'll fail you.
yeah, I guess I'm still just gonna have to tell somebody else, because that's not right to talk about other people like that.
Okay.
When you answered that question, Antoine, you said, "I guess." Why would you say, "I guess I would do that"?
I don't know. I didn't even notice I said that, I guess.
Because that's a very critical piece right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, in a nearby high school, there are 39 different languages spoken. Each language comes with a different culture. The comment you made just a moment ago to an officer regarding you don't like to be touched.
Mm-hmm.
If you add that to the fact that your FTO is, shall we say, being unprofessional, utilizing I'm being the antagonist here, I hope you don't mind.
You're fine.
But here's a guy or lady who's been here and who is a professional supposedly, but not performing in a professional way. Does that have anything to do to you as a candidate? Does it have anything to do with the way in which you were operating with that individual? Is there something that individual needs to perhaps review and identify in terms of a training experience, not just for you, but for him or herself? And would you have anything to do with that? You follow that line of questioning?
I don't really understand.
What I'm saying is your FTO's a jerk. He's an idiot or she's an idiot
Yeah.
because they're being unprofessional.
Uh-huh.
And you're a trainee and they're exhibiting that behavior. Now, perhaps this question doesn't go far enough. Perhaps that's an intentional expression. Perhaps that person's doing what they're doing to see how you would react. How would you handle that? Because you said, I guess is not good enough for me.
Yes, sir. I mean, I would go tell somebody else higher, not my field officer trainer, and just let him know what he's doing and tell him that I don't want to be a part of that because that's not something that I want to stand for.
Knowing full well, excuse me for interrupting, that may exempt you from further training.
Yes, sir.
You still would do that?
Mm.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for allowing me to put you on the spot. That's
Yeah.
important. That's
Yes.
why you're here. Here's a very important question. It's a situational question. It's a two-part question. This is one of two questions. Okay? You and another officer respond to a call by a clerk from a convenience store who said that a woman stole a small pack of diapers worth $8.99. When you arrive, you see a woman changing diapers in a car with a crying baby. How would you handle this situation?
Well, first I'd go in and talk to the clerk and try to get him close to the door, but not really where she could see too, and ask him if that was a lady. And if he said it was, then I'd walk up to her and ask her if she paid for those. And if she says she did, I guess I'd just go back in there and ask him for camera tape or something like that to make sure it's her. And then I'd ask her if she can go pay for it, just like after she'll go pay for it. And if she says no, then I write her a citation.
Okay.
You're gonna ask everybody that steals to go pay for stuff? Do that, you would be out there all day long. We go to Walmart probably 7 to 8 times a day, people stealing. If we ask everybody, can you go pay for that, they're just gonna keep on stealing.
And are you gonna ask that of the person who took the pack of diapers the same as you're gonna ask that of the person who rolled out the cart with 3 big screen TVs?
No, ma'am.
They're loading them in their car, are you just gonna, hey, can you go inside and pay for that?
No.
So stealing is stealing, they just changed the law. $1,000 or less is a misdemeanor. So $8 to $900, it's all the same.
Yes, sir.
Okay, after obtaining a statement from the clerk, this is the second part of that, who wants her arrested, and viewing video footage of her stealing the diapers, you think the woman should be cited for misdemeanor theft. The other officer strongly disagrees and pays the clerk with his own money for the diapers. How would you handle this situation?
So
you want her arrested, he's already paid for them.
Okay. I guess first I'd ask him why he just paid for that for her, because like you said, a lot of people steal, so if he would want to do that for everybody. But I guess I'd want to arrest her because you have to treat people the same, like everybody the same. So.
What if she's a single mom and homeless, and that's the only way she can put diapers on her baby? There's a lot of variables to everything.
What if you talk to the store clerk and she tells you that this is the 4th time the same woman has come in and stolen a pack of diapers or some formula? Or a loaf of bread? Are you gonna hit her with court costs? Are you gonna take her to jail and then have to find somebody to take the baby?
I guess that'd be the best thing to do if she keeps coming back and taking stuff from them. So, yeah, I think I would.
But what kind of stuff is she taking?
She's taking stuff for her kid to be able to eat.
So she's homeless, she's trying to feed the baby. Do you have any other options?
No, you really don't.
Alright, what questions or comments do you have for us?
What? other opportunities you can have, like from first being a patrol officer, like as you go on, like what's like
Specialized units?
it, like
Depends on the agency. You have, it depends on what the agency offers. Sheriff's Office, you can go detective unit, they've just started a K-9 unit, you can be a supervisor. With Gallatin, they have, you guys have everything.
We've got K-9, we've got a countywide emergency response team, SWAT team. I was on that for about 17 years. I'm a motor sergeant, ride a motorcycle, ride bicycles. We got a boat, fire department stole that from us. CID, criminal investigation unit, detectives, evidence, got that. Got liaisons that, like public relations people that do stuff like that. We've got about everything.
how you get onto the K-9 unit.
Wait for a spot to be open and have drive and go out there and hunt drugs. Be proactive, don't be lazy.
You have anything else for us?
That's it.
Alright, I do believe that concludes the interview. Does anybody else have anything?
Don't think so. I do appreciate you being here and thank you very much. If you will exit, and then we're going to make a few comments to ourselves here, and then we'll call you back in for a quick eval, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, now you can relax, and now that we're gonna provide you with some feedback. Then we go into casual mode, so it's not as serious.
Yeah, not as serious. You'll be alright.
You can smile now, right?
You want us to start with the questioning or the song?
Whatever you wanna do, it's up to you.
Okay, so your first question was, tell us about yourself. And I think my biggest thing about you in general is, while you did really good about sitting up straight and not fidgeting, until we got towards the end where it really kinda, you gotta make sure you're keeping track of that. You did really good with me on the eye contact, I appreciated that, your handshake was good. You walked out of here without saying thank you or a handshake to anybody when you left. That's something that we look for in interviews, okay? You have to appreciate us for our time to sit down and decide whether or not you're a good candidate. Your tell us about yourself was kinda what you're doing now, and that you're big into sports, leaning towards I can be athletic for police work. But that doesn't tell us much else about yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
So I still don't know what kind of background you have, or if you've ever done any police work, anything related to law enforcement. I mean, even when we asked you why you wanted to be in police work, it was like, well, I've always wanted to be a cop. Okay. Did something prompt that? I mean, that's a good time to kind of throw in a little bit to make you more personable,
Yes, sir.
okay? Wanna go?
Your second question about the officer lying basically on his report, did pretty good on that. I mean, you confronted him, but he still falsified a report, you know. Even though you've asked him to fix it, where's the drugs? I mean, it's evidence, it's gone.
Yes, sir.
He may be stealing them, I mean, you don't know. It's better to go ahead and don't lose your job over somebody else's stupidity. Don't go to jail for somebody else either.
Yes, sir.
Learn that early.
You can't see.
Yeah, these are reading glasses too. I mean, I think you did pretty good on that. Did the right thing, reporting.
Yes, sir.
I'll begin with your soft skills. You sat erectly, you had good eye contact, not great, but good. There were a couple of times, whoever the inquiring party was, you drifted.
Yes, sir.
Always keep your eyes on that inquiring party until you have completed your response. There were a couple of times in your response when you drifted and you were incomplete in your response,
Yes, sir.
okay? Handshake was good, not very good. Suggestion, here's the professional handshake, it's called a double pump. It's a 1-2 release. Repeat, 1-2 release, firm, not
Yes, sir.
with me?
Yes, sir.
Not a dead fish either. When you shake that hand, you look into the eyes of that individual, until they release the handshake,
Yes, sir.
okay? Very good. In terms of your body language posture, I said good, you sat erectly. One quick point was, when you're in an interview environment and that question is coming or a comment is coming from an inquiring party, it's always a good idea, this is called the back of the chair, to have your back at the back of the chair but leaning slightly forward, okay?
Yes.
And when that question is coming, as you begin the response, you lean into the response.
Mm-hmm.
That shows energy, enthusiasm, intentionality, and purpose,
Yes, sir.
okay? In terms of language and projection, we really need to work on that, okay? It almost made me feel, Antoine, that you were ill-prepared, scared to death, one or the other, okay? I don't think you were scared to death. But it seemed to me like you were indecisive. I think you're a very bright, personable individual. I think you did a very good job with being friendly and wanting to be able to say to yourself and to others, I'm here and I'm here because I wanna be here, okay?
Yes, sir.
But I couldn't really get that in the answers that you gave to some of the questions, all right?
Yes, sir.
And then the last thing, in terms of your appearance, grooming, you look great, no problem with any of that. Now, let me go to some of the questions real quick.
Yes, sir.
The situational questions, questions 10 and 11 that we asked you, again, when you began the answer, and you've heard me say it once already, I guess,
Yes,
no,
sir.
you're not here to guess. You're here to listen, you're here to extrapolate or to think through that question. There's a problem-solving, critical thinking element to that question as it being a two-part question. There's no right, specific, or wrong answer, but there is a correct response. You with me?
Yes, sir.
That's important that you're decisive. Did you ever umpire a ball game? That's a good thing. You're still here, you're still alive. But there's one thing that you learn about being an umpire and being a police officer in criminal justice. In some cases, you're an umpire of a situation. You're decisive. Okay?
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, you don't beat somebody over with a baton or whatever else, but you listen, you respond consistently with a right response that you're trained for. That's not what I got today,
Yes, sir.
okay? Now, it's not that you're not trained, it's that you're not trained. Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, sir.
You're in training. All right, very good. You are an excellent listener, and that's important because communication is everything. And I loved your response, sir, when you were talking about, I don't want to be touched. Do you remember what the officer said?
Mm-hmm.
What did he say?
You gotta be able to, like, he said you're gonna get touched, but you gotta be able to not to respond back to it.
That's
Like,
exactly right. And the reason why he said it is not just for you, certainly it's for you, but it's for the people involved in that scenario and that situation, because it can either go very, very well or it can go very, very badly. And if it goes badly, that's not a good thing, because things could escalate into something that is far worse than what the situation started in. You
yes,
with
sir.
me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the last comment that I wanted to make is in regards to the last question, because I thought you did a very good job with that. And that question was, do you have questions of us? You were intentional, you were specific, you asked two very good questions, and you got two very direct answers, okay?
Yes, sir.
The last comment overall, disappointed, because there's much, much more to Antoine than what I got out of the first question, which was, and you said it very, very well, tell us about yourself.
Yes, sir.
Let me give you an example. Are you doing anything in this program outside of going to class? What are you doing that has relationship to this program? Have you ever had a ride-along?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you ever been a leader, or are you involved in any student clubs, organizations, or have you ever have been?
I mean, just FCA.
Okay, just FCA, it's not just FCA, it's FCA.
Yes, sir.
It's, and here's a point, and I want you to be proud.
Yes,
I
sir.
want you to be proud. You're not proud yet.
Yes, sir.
Not in front of me, you're not.
Yes, sir.
And I'm a twin, so I'm only half the guy I could be,
Okay.
okay? So I have to be proud about being half the guy I could be, and I'm serious about this, all right? I want you to feel strongly about, I'm interested in this program, here's some leadership things that I'm getting ready to get into, okay?
Yes, sir.
Here's a question. In FCA, were you a leader or were you just an FCA'er?
I was an FCA. I like went to the meetings and stuff.
Okay, all right. From this point forward, with the rest of Antoine's life, I don't want you to just go to the meetings. You're too good a person. You've got too much on the ball, Antoine, to just go to meetings.
Yes, sir.
You hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You're a Vol State grad almost. You're a member of this program, and I'm telling you, I know the guy sitting behind you to your right shoulder, he wants what's best for you, as do the three of us, or the four of us. You with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm preaching, but it's because I know what you can do and what you can become, not just for yourself, but for other people.
Yes, sir.
Overall, I think you're a good candidate. I think you're a strong individual who has a lot of potential, so good for you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything positive that you gave him critical? Anything positive?
I do. So, while I would like to say, watch your speech, enunciate a little bit better when you're in having the interview, because some of us are older than you,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have to speak clearly,
Yes, ma'am.
because we don't always hear you. That's also very important if you really want to do this job. You have to be able to speak to people to make them hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'll tell you something that really got me was you asked for a positive ID. When we asked you about the store clerk and the lady changing the diapers in the car, you said you would go into the store, talk to the clerk, have her look out the window and tell you whether or not that was the same lady who sold the diapers. I give you props for that, because a lot of people would have just walked up to her and been like, "You steal them diapers?"
That's right.
So I give you a lot of credit for that. You picked that up somewhere,
Yes, ma'am.
that while you still might wanna identify her before she takes off, at least you went and asked to make sure that this wasn't just some other random lady
Yes, ma'am.
changing diapers in a car, changing her own diapers, as Mr. Cook was so kind to write it. I think you did really good with a lot of that. You really need to speak up some. You need to pronounce your words. You need to sound like you wanna be here.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you're sitting in front of a real law enforcement panel, and, I mean, we're about as close to real as you can get, I imagine, but when you're really looking for that job and you really want to get into this, it's terrifying. That first one is really terrifying,
Yes, ma'am.
because you won't get any of this feedback.
Mm.
So, all in all, I think you did well. I think you have a lot of stuff to work on. I think you'd be impressed with your.
And doing things like this will build your confidence
Yeah.
for future
Absolutely.
interviews.
Your job is to sell yourself to us.
Mhm.
Why do we want you?
Yes, sir.
Over anybody else. Do you really wanna do this?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, not just for interview purposes, but is this something you really wanna do?
Yes,
Or are
ma'am.
you just like, hey, I wanna do this and I wanna go fingerprint?
No, I really do want to.
Okay,
Yes.
why do you really wanna be the police?
Just because, like, I guess, cause, like I said, I want to help people, and also I've been wanting to be a police since I was little, and I mean, I'm already working towards it now, so I just want to finish and
How old are you?
I'm about to turn 20 on Sunday.
Okay. Work on your speech patterns a little better. That's gonna go a long way in an interview process for you, no matter what you do.
You have to be able to take charge of a situation.
Right, and right now, you kinda mumble, and I don't know if that's just your regular normal cadence to how things usually sound coming. I'm not from here, so I know I talk very funny comparatively. Well, we got some other people that sound really funny to me. Just hired a guy from Cookville, he speaks real funny to me. Real funny. But it's entertaining. Just make sure you can clearly articulate what you're trying to convey.
And what she's saying there, what I'm hearing is basically projecting and speaking louder, speaking kind of with a level of confidence. See how I'm speaking right now? That's what they're kind of looking. So when you ask, yes, I want to be a police, that energy, that energy is what they're looking for too. Because as a police officer, you can be kind of a calm, relaxed person, but at some point, you might have to tell a person, step out of the car, let me come over here for a minute,
You're gonna have to get
And
out.
and if you're just going, step out of the car, come over, they're not going to take you seriously. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just listening to
Oh,
you.
okay, yeah. Anything positive that you saw?
I mean, you've done a great job. Like I say, just work on your speech. And like I say, even if you're not sure, make us think you're sure.
Yes, sir.
You gotta sell it to us.
Yes, sir.
You know, make up your mind what you wanna say and how you wanna say it, and even if it's wrong, stick to your guns.
Own it, own it.
Yep.
Instead of that, I guess, and I would, you had some really good answers, but I would have believed you more if you had owned it.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
just said, this is what I'm gonna do.
When you make the call on the field, and you make it decisively and intentionally, people won't give you a lot of grief. But if it's, I think he's out,
Mm.
you got a problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
And I've been teaching this class for the last, 6 years, and I've had, students in your position with the same exact feedback that you're getting, and they're now working as police officers for gals in Hendersonville and Metro. So, it's, in other words, don't think that you can't come a long way from what the feedback you're getting now, so. And they're doing really well too.
Yeah, I think ultimately you did well. You did well.
Thank you.
Just
So,
tweak some of that and you'll be fine.
So if you wanna go ahead and collect the